Morgan. Thank you guys for
And
being here and
illumination.
welcoming Dave. We sure appreciate it.
My pleasure. That was great. I'm very interested in the cards that you read there, because I think that's a great way to summarize just sort of what I've been doing for the past 3 months.
Exactly.
Completely complex and maybe difficult times. This is the time, and I was very worried when certain events happened. But as I dug deeper, it's like, well, there could be some opportunity here.
Yeah, you have to look at it differently.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like, well, wait a minute, you're just making money out of the situation. Look, we've got to move forward. We've got to do stuff. And it could seem like a real problem. Come on, look, if we look at our real issues, our real problems, they always led to a new us, right? True. And it doesn't like that in the middle of the battle. But at the end, you're like, wow, look how much I learned from my terrible landlord.
Exactly. So true.
It's really important now to do exactly as you said in the cards. Just look.
Remember, think outside the box. Everything is going to be okay.
It might look bad on the surface, but underneath, there's something there for us to gain.
Yeah, look again.
It has to be, or it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. This is a great question. I have to show this. Hi, Mary Pat. Welcome. Look at all these people coming from your channel. Thanks, Dave.
Wow. Thank you, everybody.
Dave is taking a question. Is the man in the moon an ET? Always wanted to know that.
That's a great question. Let's just check in, because it's been a while since I chatted there. So man in the moon. So when I say man in the moon, it is a personification of a bunch of different forces, right? So think of the moon as like a piece of the earth, Mother Earth, that's just separated. And it's almost like Mother Earth looking at itself, or that part that's
a reflection of Mother Earth.
Yeah. And it's sort of, not there, but looking at it. And there sort of sits an array of characters, if we can call them that, a bunch of different forces. When spirit comes to me, often it's just wearing clothing that we feel comfortable with. So people are comfortable with ETs. That's what they will see. Most people are not comfortable with ETs. So they will see something else. They might even see Jesus. It will be sort of reflected. There's almost like a speaker for the house, right? And in this case, I really see it as a sort of a collective reflecting to the earth. That it's a variety, and the main character looks like the man in the moon. It looks like an old man with a white beard, and kind of snowy, right? Ancient.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think
that looks like fun. I just see light bodies when I get visions like that. I don't usually get distinguishing features of any sort. They're just like light beings, like, hi.
And you feel their energy. You feel their energy when they're talking.
Right. Some people are more comfortable with animals. And so, an animal will show up and they'll be talking. Some people are more comfortable with, it's almost like they go backstage and put on some clothing for you.
Yeah. To fit whatever your brain is capable of.
Or even their name. The name might be one that you feel comfortable with, or kind of represent the energy that you're looking at, right? I don't think
the names I get when I astro travel are very common,
very everyday. Just call me Frank.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you know why that is?
Because I'm comfortable.
Well, also, I teach thousands and thousands of people to channel. And when we get there, they're like, I don't know, Dave, this can't be right. My guide's name is Bob. And I'm like, no, that's it. You didn't invent that. If you were going to invent the channel, it would be, Mother Teresa, Assisi. You didn't invent Bob.
I'll never forget
a way to tell you that
you're really channeling, which I want to go into that, because you and I were together a few days ago, and you really helped me with a channeling block that I had been having.
Uh-huh.
And I want you to share what you feel like you want to with that. But I want to go back to the man in the well, I know it's called Moon Ride, not Man in the Moon. But
Uh,
and I love the name Moon Ride because I actually kind of get a visualization of you riding those
yeah, yeah,
riding
yeah.
the moon. I have always thought that the moon was like a not a man-made satellite, but I never
Alien
thought of it
made.
as being a piece of Gaia. I've always thought it was made by some other species and brought into
It's artificial.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of think of it too as, we think of the moon as being a feminine thing, Mother Earth as
Mhm,
being a feminine thing. So the
mhm,
man in the moon is almost like the masculine and the feminine.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
still warrior-like, but it's
yeah,
more a feminine warrior, which it seems appropriate to the time. I
yeah.
think also, you know, there's some really negative experiences we've all had with men, and there's also the men who are healing and who are there to support you. There is an aspect of the
Mhm.
male that's maybe more in touch with women. I think that we will live in a better time when we are pretty much equal.
Well, I
It
think
should,
that's what is coming in with the age of Aquarius is
I
bringing in
hope
the
so.
divine feminine to balance out that divine masculine, not to take over or anything, but just to unite and
Mhm.
I
community. It's all
I
about community. And
I kind of get the impression that the moon has our back.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it, right. And it's just
it is.
a bit more flowy.
Mhm.
There are other planets that would be logical. The moon is a little bit more like, well, today's
Watery.
this, today's like this, just like this. And women generally are more in tune with cycles,
Mhm,
right? 30 days, 9 months, whatever it is.
mhm.
These are more feminine things, but it doesn't have to be a woman that's in touch with that. We can all be in touch with that.
I have noticed that I have a granddaughter that's going to be 23 and one that's just turned 19. And I've noticed the men of their generations. Well, actually, I know two really good men. I know two really good men in touch with their
Ooh.
feminine side. And luckily, they're within my family, my daughter's husband and my granddaughter's partner. And it's really interesting to be around them and see how different they are than somebody a man my age. 'Cause
Well,
a man my age, you as far as I'm concerned, done and dusted.
well, usually that's true. I am fortunate to have male clients that are older and that are quite different. But that's
Mhm.
that's just me. It's a pretty much how many people watch me on YouTube that are male that are aggressive. Probably very few.
Right.
But I would actually say that it's a whole generational thing. I
I
constantly
think so
talk
too.
to women of a certain age and they're like, well, I think I'm spiritually inclined, but who am I? I'm 75. I can't make these shifts. Like, forget that. Forget the age. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 95. Now is the time for you to make the contribution that you were always supposed to make. You have gained a lot of wisdom. Nobody's pulling the wool out of your eyes. And people like to listen to their mom. They still do that. So you use that. You use your powers to
Well, we use it as part of the we do that with the Crone Zone. We're all ladies. We got a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom.
you're not fooling
Yeah,
around.
we're old.
You're not fooling around. You don't have time. My mom's a
No, I'm
librarian.
not near as diplomatic as I used to be, and that's never
Good,
a strong
good.
point anyway, because 'cause I'm a Scorpio.
Me too. My mom's a librarian, and she's really good as a librarian. She's one of the head. She's like the best librarian in the neighborhood. Of
Right.
Los Angeles. And I asked her, God, you're so good at all of this. How did you do it? She goes, I had 4 children. And so I just like, no, you're not doing that. Go to your
Yeah,
room.
yeah, you do
This
learn.
is dinner. It's not a restaurant. Eat it. And so I think
Boy,
there
I
is,
heard that one a lot.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
not a restaurant. Eat
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in that whole organic sense. I also think that everybody is changing right now.
yeah.
And I mean, I don't care what age you are, everybody's capable of changing. You might find it in a set of people much more often. But I do feel like these are times of great the society is reflecting great changes. And we are being like a movie. We're watching this like, is that the kind of man I want to be? I don't know.
Exactly.
I think it's important we do watch it like a movie and that we don't get invested in what's going on.
We
And then
can't
we
get
stay
in.
back and go, that's not my reality.
Sure.
We ride the wave. We don't need to go underneath it and get deep down in and all that stuff.
Well, let me ask you guys, how do you do it?
How do I do it? How am I
how do you
keeping
both do it?
sane? I have 2 groups of women that I work with every week that we work with each other. We work with what's going on, sending healing out to Washington, D.C., for instance, and pretty much Gaia, the planet, humanity, the collective. That's what my groups do. And I know there's hundreds of thousands of groups just like that have been built throughout
Sometimes
the world.
Sometimes it's just 1 or 2 friends that you relate with that help you keep your frequency up high. And some of the things that you do, you finally decide, okay, that tears me up. I can't watch that.
Good job.
So you don't.
Great. That's great advice. That's advice that
do not watch the news. Turn off the news. Do not.
But sometimes it's not even the news. It's sometimes it's groups of people that finally get to you after a while, and you say, "I really need to get out of this."
Yeah,
it's true. Groups of people. You're very That's a good one, Heather.
As you make the spiritual changes that we're all making, it does become true that you just can't really resonate with the same people, and they will kick you out. They will be like,
you don't. They will too.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And when that happens, there's going to be a feeling of loss. And send them love without judgment as you shift. But the positive thing is you're also shifting into these new great groups. And I would totally take your advice. Go meet in groups of small groups or in larger groups, as you described. We're all ready to go and meet new people and expand.
Yeah.
You're right, Laurie Sue. Dolores is an absolute gift of information. Dave and I are both great fans of Dolores Cannon.
Yes, that's the other thing I would do is read. I think I'm reading a little bit of The Guardian, like 1 or 2 articles a day, but I'm trying not to watch it because then it's 3.5 hours later and I'm doom scrolling, right?
Yes.
What can I find that's really good? And, I can barely stop myself, but I am pretty good now. So it's not going to be perfect tomorrow.
When I joined TikTok, I started doom scrolling and I was like, oh my God, now I know what these grandkids are. They never had their phones like this 24/7. Just you look up and an hour's gone. It's like, I got to put my phone down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a time suck. And it really is. I don't think anybody is really realizing how this has changed our culture.
Yeah,
right?
it really
There's
has.
something going on with the brain when it is focused on terror. If you do go down the well of evil, videos, you will get to people freaking out in public. And how do they get there? I mean, when I watched it, of course, I got into that and had to stop. But one thing that occurred to me is, how did that person get there? They're probably a perfectly happy, normal person last year. But now they have just watched the same terrible thing happen by a race of people. And
what you're saying is absolutely true. And even, pardon his name, the Red Venice believes that the more times you say it, everybody thinks it's true, even if it's not. And they know it wasn't the first time, but they just repeat it over and over and over again. Yes. And they eventually say that's true. The same thing with watching.
Well, I think they've created a group of zombies. The subliminal that goes on television, as well as just the constant barrage of lies.
Right.
People are zombies.
You're right, Gina. Where your focus is, energy flows.
Well, I was for a long time a teacher, English as a second language. And I was in San Francisco, and it got to the point where, first of all, San Francisco became so expensive that the only students who were coming there were rich kids, really rich kids, right? They just want a picture of them with the Golden Gate Bridge behind them. And
Right.
it's like this, I am the English teacher. Think of the, sorry about the sound. Think of the benefits. Like you have a native speaker with 20 years experience and they would be like this. I'm looking at my phone. Like they would be, I'm looking up a word. Their phone was supposed to teach them English better than the English teacher,
When the
native
English
speaker,
teacher.
who planned this brilliant lesson plan. And I got to the point where I could not get them off the phone.
Oh, I don't understand why schools didn't ban the damn things. Why would you
Well,
let phones
My
in?
schools did.
oh, good.
I mean, yeah, my schools, they said, okay, you bring the phone, it stays in your backpack all day, and it's
Good.
in your locker. It
Yeah.
better not show up in a class.
Well, good for you. I hope they enforce it still.
I
Who
don't know, they
knows?
did when I was teaching.
Yeah,
So,
but I wonder if they still do, because it got to the point where I simply couldn't do it. I
I don't
could not.
blame you.
I had a little game one day where I said, okay, and I took a basket and I wrote the word "fotel," and I said,
mhm.
today it's time to take your phone on a vacation. Please put your phones in the fotel. The second day I tried that, 2 students refused. They
And what?
refused. The director of the school came and told them to do that. They said, no, my dad is rich and I paid for this and I'm not doing it. So how do you teach a bunch of people like that who think,
Entitled little ass.
well, there's something going on with this phone.
Mhm.
It's like, this is a better friend than you are. That, how
Yes.
dare you separate
Right.
from me?
It's because
So
they've had them since babies, and their brains have flipped out because of all the information going so fast through them when they were toddlers and their brains were starting to grow. I mean, there's all
yes,
kinds of studies about how it screws up your brain
yeah,
looking at games, electronic games when you're really young. We've got a couple of generations like that now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Their brains are like, not
Mhm, mhm.
right. I don't know what's wrong exactly, but they're not right.
And
Yeah,
part of it
well,
is
part of
this,
that is the programming.
yeah,
They are
yeah.
programmed to be that way. They don't
Yeah,
want anybody to think.
right. That's a great point. You're just always engaged. I mean, it is so science fiction, isn't it? If you
Yeah, it
wrote
is.
this 20 years ago, no one would believe it could be truth. But here it is true, right? We are very, very much sort of becoming separated from each other, and we have to kind of choose not to be. Like we
Yeah.
have to choose
Right.
to stop watching.
And when they're so glued to, this is like a hobby horse for me, glued to the phones, they don't learn how to communicate.
They
Well,
They
don't.
can't speak face to face.
they don't have a
Small
clue. And
small
they'll
talk
tell
is
you they don't like to look at your eyes. They don't like to look people in the eye.
uh-huh. Small talk is dead. And you notice, like I see show young people Star Wars, they're bored of it. It doesn't move fast enough,
Yeah.
right? It was so exciting in 1976, but now it's just too slow.
Yeah.
Like they actually,
I
right?
think we're getting old, you guys. We're just
Yeah,
showing our
I know. And
right.
like if you're in a reading, if it's somebody that's young, they have a very hard time waiting for you to get the messages to get to them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep.
They
Yep. I
have a
think
very difficult time waiting for you to be able to hear what's supposed to
They
be
have no
done.
patience.
right.
Mm-mm.
Well,
Instant
there's also
gratification.
a sort of divide where they're, I would say, kind of, it's an ego thing in the sense, oh, you boomers, you don't understand. The phone, you know, I've got a friend who wrote these books, and they were books on vegetables for cooks.
Okay.
And they were very sophisticated New Yorker. And they would go to the farm and they'd say, tell me about this rugula. What's the best condition to grow it? Where do you, what is it? Is there different varieties? Da, 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 da. Well,
Wow.
they did this and they submitted it for the book. And they kept getting messages from the publisher saying, well, we put a young person on it and they went to check and they corrected your work. They said, the rugula is really like this because they found that information online. And
Oh,
she said, I went to the farm. Okay. I didn't go online to find this information, but the people who went online think that they know more than the person who went
Oh
to the
my
farm.
God, it's so frightening. It's
Right.
so frightening. Oh my God. Where
Yeah.
are we going with this?
yeah.
I know we're going to be okay. I know we're going to get through this, but it's just, Ah,
It's a cracking. Everything's cracking open.
everything's
Now we have
cracking.
to make a decision to put the phone down. It's not passive.
I hope they can. I don't think our generation, Heather's and my generation, my phone's on silent 90% of the time, which drives my family insane.
Yes,
But
mine.
I don't answer my phone unless if it rings, if I don't know the number, I don't answer it. I, I don't answer it. I'm not touching it. There's too much crazy stuff goes on with phones and so
And I know one of the comments, don't misunderstand this. There are wonderful advantages to technology. We're experiencing this right now.
right now we wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah.
And I
I
will attest to that because
Yeah.
without my hearing aids and the progress that they've made in those,
uh-huh.
I don't even want to think about how bad it would be.
Yeah.
You have a horn.
A horn wouldn't do me much good.
We're experiencing the shadow side of
Each year, right?
Yes, it's the shadow side of technology. We need to
Right.
move to the what do the astrologers call it when you have the low and the high side of each sign, you know? The lowest vibration, we're feeling the low vibration. We're just inching
Let's
up
go up
towards the
above.
higher.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Good work.
you're right. I want to go back to channeling because I know that you actually believe that everybody can channel and everybody should channel, basically. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that? Because, and I don't know if you want to go into it at all, but how you helped me the other day, wherever you want to go with that.
Sure. Well, first, start to say people probably channel all the time,
I guess.
right? So you know how you're doing something, you're just so good at it, you don't even need to think about it. I knew of all people when I was in college a wrestler, and he was in this philosophy class. Like, what are you doing in here, guys? He was the assistant wrestling coach. Like, what are you doing in the high level philosophy class? And he talked about flow. And that is at a certain point when he was doing this, he was not thinking about doing this. His body was so in contact that it was almost like spirit was making
Wow.
him move. Any of you, whether you're knitting or crocheting, when you're driving, there could even be a sense of don't just pull over.
Yep.
That danger. You're in this zone where you just know. Any mother out there will just be like, I'm channeling the word no for my child, right? I just know, or even I need to talk to them now. There's something else going on here. You're channeling when you're doing that. You're listening to spirit when you're doing that, when you do
Yeah.
something familiar. It may not necessarily be familiar to go, hey, you guys, I got a question. That is something that I do advise people to learn. You do not want to just channel, oh, okay, I'm going to channel today, because you're not necessarily sure what that is. I don't think there's evil spirits, but there's certainly distraction and there's certainly tricks, right? And there's certainly
And if you're doing any kind of reading, you're automatically channeling.
That's right. That's right. Feel it. If you're going to do this, and you don't necessarily have to have formal training, I would just say in your heart, I would create a safe place for you to do this. And if you ever encounter something, you're just like, well, or even negative, just push it aside. Your heart will always tell you. You will always know if you listen to it. I have a habit of not listening to my heart, although I'm getting better. But if your heart tells
We have to learn. It's an art.
It's something you have to practice.
Yes. If your heart tells you this is a good door to walk through, okay. If your heart tells you no, just move it aside. Choose another door. It's just practice, right? And if your heart tells you that spirit is the right spirit to talk to, that is of the highest vibration, and I like to put ancestors or people who've passed from this life around me in a pyramid of white before I go there. And I have to be, even after many years, follow my rule. And my rule is I use the two pyramids, one above, one below. My rule is to go to the doorway and make sure that it's okay. It feels good in my heart. My rule is to meet the spirit and say, what is your name? And can you prove to me you're from the light? And I don't mean to be rude, but prove to me, and they will send me an image of something that feels good. I was on Sheila's show a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I actually had the experience where somebody told me in advance, follow your steps. And then I got there and I said, show me something that lets me know if you're a light. And I got a hamburger and a Pepsi. I don't eat hamburgers. I don't drink Pepsi. I'm like, no, you guys are fakes. Move it aside.
Who
Right?
shows a hamburger and a Pepsi? That's
Seriously, it was almost like joking with me. You really following your steps, man? So I don't care what steps they are.
Mhm.
And you can make a mistake or something. If it feels good in your heart, do it. If it doesn't, just move to a next one. The light will come.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. I had to learn the hard way. I didn't know what I was doing, and thank God for Heather. She was taking notes, and thank God for that show, the Gaia show,
Yeah.
interview with Extra Dimensionals, interview with Ed. Oh my God.
ADs.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great ideas. You don't have to be formally trained. Go read and read anything around it, and
Mhm.
you'll get there. I often think you just say, okay, Spirit, bring me the right books. And you go to Amazon and you'll just go, wow, I can't wait to read
That's
that.
true. It's true.
Yeah,
You
yeah, they'll just
definitely
show up.
do. Um,
And I've learned that if I have, sometimes it even doesn't even take 3 times, but if something takes 3 times to get my attention, I know I better pay attention to it. But it doesn't always take 3 times anymore, but it used to.
yeah, you're not as hard-headed about it now. You actually are looking for synchronicities rather than going, "Oh, that's nothing."
We learn.
We
That's what
learn. We
And as
learn.
somebody's pointed out, critical thinking and discernment. That is, just because we're doing intuitive stuff doesn't mean we're not logical. We still have to, if you just followed any spirit, you wind up, following some guru and selling your home and being their, love
And
slave or
please
something.
don't follow gurus. Please don't follow anybody like that. Everything you need
Yes.
to know is right here inside of you.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
You can
You
get
learn
people to help guide you there, but it's all in here. And if somebody tells you you need to do something, you need to think twice and use your discernment.
Ask your heart.
Nobody's telling you what to do or
Yeah. Ask
anything
your
like
heart.
that.
If that's what your heart is saying is right, then you're okay. But a lot of
Mhm.
times people just go do, and that's not wise.
Yeah, it
Usually.
is.
Usually
There's
that's not the wisest thing.
And if
yeah.
you guys aren't familiar with discernment, I'm sure if you go look on our YouTube channel, we will have some kind of presentation on discernment and
Oh, I remember doing a show on it.
yeah,
At least one, maybe
at
twice.
least one. So
Yeah.
definitely check that out. And
Good
by
for
the
you.
way, I had a reading with Dave the other day, and I highly recommend anybody that wants a reading, learn how to channel. Go to Dave's page. His information is in the description, and I think it's also on a banner here that I haven't put up.
We'll fix that.
Welcome, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that looks terrific. I'm glad I haven't even learned how to use a banner, so you're doing great. But thanks
Oh,
very much.
we didn't know how to do anything when we first started on this.
Yeah,
Great.
they did send us a
Great.
bunch of gurus. Of course, they used the hardest
Software.
software, and we had to change to what everybody else was using because it was too hard for anybody else anyway, let alone us.
Yeah, the StreamYard, we love you. Thank you very much, StreamYard. You're so easy. Let me see if we have some questions. Somebody says, will Kamala become president in 2025? Does anybody want to go there? Hey, Terry Suzuki. Welcome.
Hello, everybody who's lurking.
Mhm. Well, before the show, you guys were like, we want to do really light political. So I'm not
Yes.
necessarily so tempted by Kamala to do that. I will also say these times are changing so dramatically that I don't think, this is a probable timeline, but I don't think we know, especially over the next 9 months, everything is going to rapidly change in consciousness. For one thing, we're not supposed to know. This stuff is
That's
going
what
to be
I
heavy
think
enough.
too.
And we have to remember that when you look at the future, we live through free will. Anybody who decides to do something rather than the other thing will change that.
Yes.
So there's really
Yes.
no way that you can say whether definitively
That's so true.
anything would happen. We can
Yeah.
say at this point, this is what it is. But
Yeah.
anybody changes their mind, just anybody changes their mind from what it was at that moment, it changes.
I would say when I do in my mind's eye, I see justice happening eventually. I don't know how long the road is that I see, but
I don't
there
know.
will be. This is a divine experience that we're all having. It is part of a plan. And for those of you who are like, Dave, that's not fair. I don't want to be part of this plan. I was like, well, I
We
understand.
all feel that way.
We all feel that way. You're absolutely right. We shouldn't have to do this.
It
But at
sucks,
the
but
same time,
suck
it's
it up,
not
Buttercup.
it's
Yeah.
not boring. We could have had a really boring life, and instead we're engaged and interested.
Yeah, we are definitely engaged, which is so different from the apathy that has been the last 25, 30 years. Pretty
Mhm.
much apathy everywhere. Oh, yeah, I'll go vote. Psh, pay no attention to anything about it, but I'll go vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
The apathy, I think, is ending. So, candidly, any reading with David will be of benefit. I agree wholeheartedly. I know this to be true. He is one of the most genuine, kind, gifted readers I could ever recommend. I state this from my heart to yours. Well, that's not what I was going to click on, but that's lovely.
Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. I find him very generous. And this is the one I wanted. We're not supposed to know. We're supposed to trust and stay in the present moment and be in awe and learn and love it all more. I love that, Matthew. I
Yeah.
guess
Mhm.
We do what we feel is best for all concerned.
Yes. Yes.
Don't just watch it, but do what you think is best for all concerned.
Yes.
And if we
And,
all do that, we're going the right direction.
yeah. Yeah. And we are being forced to make choices.
Yes.
We are being compelled. You can't just be passive. You can't just watch it. It really is. You got to say something. You could, maybe you say something at the party in a nice way. Again, that's a choice. Maybe you give your own human example to help elevate everyone. That's a choice. There's just constantly that's what's happening is everybody's bombarded by the choices without actually knowing the exact future. It is tough. And for all of you guys, you have my absolute sympathy. I might be an intuitive person. I am having exactly the same problems as every single client. I'm very worried. Please, I'll go on I'm intuitive, but I will go online and be like, please help Linda G. Lena, tell me the future so I can control.
I know. And nobody's going to be, none of us, look, every single one of us was wrong about the E. The joust. We were all wrong about the joust. Now, I don't know how so many people of the same mind can be so wrong, but because we weren't wrong, and we all know we weren't wrong. It couldn't be that way. So it has to be that we're not to know. We're not to know. We're going to have to let this play out. We all know what really happened. We have to let it play out. And we all signed a contract to be here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's not punishment. It's not punishment.
It's not.
The contract is learning.
Some days it feels like punishment. Some days it really feels like punishment.
It does. It does. Don't harm yourself by saying, "Oh, just be happy," because come on, that's not
the way it works,
right? But at the same time, can I look at this and say, "Well, there's a cloud. What's the silver lining?" Because at the end of this all, I can go, well, actually, it was worth it, right? I learned, look at what we're doing.
I do believe it's going to be worth all this horror.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to experience the horror that a lot of people are going to experience. And my heart goes out to them. And as an empath, it kills me to see the treachery, the betrayal, the harming of people that are already in a bad situation. But I can't do anything about that. Those are not things I can do anything about. What I can do is help the people in the chat, the people that watch our shows, help them keep their vibe high so they can get through this in a way that's in the highest good for them and the collective, because this
Yes.
is all about the collective, you guys.
Yeah, it is.
It may be all about the collective, but it starts with each and every single one of us, right?
Right. Yeah. I do a lot of praying these
I do
days,
these days.
meditating slash praying, and not for a specific outcome, for the best possible outcome for everyone. Right now,
Mhm.
I'll tell you the truth. I absolutely say, don't hesitate to pray for yourself. Don't leave
Mhm.
yourself out of this picture. You've got to be healthy, other you can't help anyone else. But I do spend some time saying, get better, Dave. And
Well,
what the best possible outcome.
everybody needs to remember that you deserve the good stuff too.
Yeah.
Don't leave yourself out of it. You
Yeah.
deserve it. You've more than done whatever needs to be done.
It's really strange because I don't think about praying for myself. I just figure if I pray for everybody on the planet, that includes me as well. So I'm good.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. That's the way to
Always
do
include
it.
yourself.
I've been
Uh-huh.
doing that for years, just sending out, well, I sit in my little Merkaba in the center of Gaia and send out unconditional love and unity consciousness. Just that's how I'll just spend a meditation just doing that constantly so that it goes out into the grid around the planet and goes on out into the universe wherever it's needed. And I think anybody can do that. You just imagine yourself in the center of the earth, sending out love. That way you're covering everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Being within and without the planet. So
Yeah.
that's the way I like to do it. You want me is something I should show?
Susan Dye, I wanted to comment on what she had to say. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'm tempted with the thought of checking out early.
I think
Okay.
a lot of it's
And
in
all
there.
I can say is, okay, you really have to think about it, but think about this as well. Like when I finished growing and getting my kids grown up and out of the house, and I was saying, oh, I wish I'd done this differently, and wish I'd done this differently, and this, and I was feeling so down on me. And then I got to thinking, oh, wait a minute. I did those things right. If I do something else wrong. So checking out is not the answer. That's giving up. You know?
Not only that,
Right.
you just got to come back and do it again. And I don't want to do that.
No,
Well,
I don't want to do that. Once is enough.
Suzanne's heart hurts. Her heart hurts. It's
Yes.
hard for her to
Yeah.
watch this.
Mhm.
Suzanne is a seven sensitive person, like many of us. She's a bit younger than us, so she hasn't learned to work with this,
Yeah.
experience as
Well,
well
she
as.
probably is not a crone like us.
Yeah. Yes. And we've all been there, Susan. We've all said,
Absolutely.
life would be easier because you're an empathic person. You could see the harm done to others. It hurts. I would just say, whenever you do that, go, okay, but let's think of people who love me. That there is love. And
There,
I always tell clients, when you're doing the channeling, put love in the pyramid above your head first. Think of people who are kind to you or strangers who help someone across the street. We can look at YouTube and we could look at all this dark stuff, and we could look at YouTube and we could find all of these wonderful people who dedicated their lives to helping others, who are well-rounded, who aren't necessarily materialistic. Change the channel. You are right that you're feeling this. Also, Suzanne, you're looking really good. You look great, and it's great that you're sensitive, right?
yes.
It just has to change the dial a little bit, because what you're experiencing is real, and I don't want
Look
to
at
put you
what you've
Oh, it
accomplished.
absolutely is.
down. Absolutely
Look at
real.
what you've accomplished. And
Mhm.
so many people need your help in accomplishing those same things.
Yes, and meet others. As you guys have both said, you meet people who are going to reinforce this and say, "Oh, I know that," and you're not crazy. You've got to find a way, online, offline, to meet those people, because they will remind you of the good in the universe, right? They will remind you of things that are positive, or you can even read books on the topic.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I
Or,
had
or come into this channel, because I've got to tell you that the people we have that in our chat are so supportive all the time.
all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very nice. Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's no way I had no idea that we could find such a community on here. I was terrified when I first started the channel. I thought it was just going to be a hateful mess, and it's anything but. It's just been so supportive. I've actually met some of the people in person that I met through YouTube,
Wonderful.
and it's just been amazing. And I hope I get to meet more of them, because there's some beautiful souls out there, and they're all helping to raise the vibration. Yay.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And I hope people will do this. I'm if someone on the East Coast or the West Coast, and I just say that because those are the most convenient spaces, but anywhere in the United States, would set up a reasonably priced meeting where all people who are doing this work could come meet and share that information, I would be the first one there. I think that it should be available to all people, and not just the rich. And it should include people you're walking down the street, you wouldn't go, oh, that's somebody so experienced and important. But then they give their spiel and they talk about what they have learned, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, here's Mr. Regular.
Wouldn't that be a fabulous thing to
That'd
do?
be good. So all viewers out there, consider this.
Yeah, consider it.
If you have good
I
organizational
think at this
skills,
point, the best thing we have is YouTube.
yes, that's
Mhm.
right.
At
Yeah, I
this-
signed off of all Meta. I'm no longer on anything Meta. That's part of my resistance.
Yeah.
Part of my resistance is wearing red lipstick. For those of you all don't know about red lipstick, women in the French Resistance and the Allies wore red lipstick as a sign of resistance because Hitler hated it.
Oh, no kidding.
American women flooded factories and battlefields with red lipstick. The Marines even created a mandatory lipstick for women Marines called Montezuma Red, representing the American flag. And Elizabeth Arden created Victory Red lipstick for the suffrage movement.
No
So,
kidding.
And there is another movement
and-
out that so many people are doing, which I would love to see what's happening with it, where nobody buys anything online on Mondays.
Mhm.
I would love to see how that is affecting everybody.
There's a lot of that resistance, and if you go to my community page, the community page here, I actually have a list of all the all the shopping stuff, where not to shop, where to shop, where the marches are going to be, and that kind of thing. I'm not going to go out and march anymore, but I'm going to do whatever I can to show my
Support.
support to them.
And you can do that in this forum, no problem. Mhm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
And we don't have to be really political to do it.
You don't. I swear, if you just show up, that is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
it is a lot.
If you do show up at a march and a protest, you must absolutely be peaceful. Keep in mind, every camera is going to be looking at you. They're
And
going to
wear something over your face, disguise your face. Do not let them.
That's not
That's
a bad
another
idea.
thing. Don't let them see your face.
Right.
Wear-
I would say consider wearing white or something like that. Just showing up in white is a sign of peace.
Mhm.
Right? Maybe that will be a thing, or maybe you'll have a different color. But just showing up and being present, and when somebody is being violent or aggressive or something, you just go and be like, "Hey, look, this is a peaceful movement," and you guys are doing that online. I would just like this to be mirrored as well. We must be peaceful. All eyes will be watching us. Mhm.
I love Matthew. Wear a white mask with
Wear a
red
white-
lipstick.
Good, Matthew.
We had Gerald from Tarot Stash on the other night, and he wore red lipstick in honor of my resistance movement. I love
Okay. If you guys got some shades you recommend for me, I'll consider it.
Listen, I went to the dollar store and picked this up. I have
And
no
I
idea.
picked some up, and it
black.
actually doesn't. I have so many allergies. It actually doesn't, but of course it's Merle Norman. But they had something special for Valentine's Day where you got a lip liner and brush and a lipstick, and it was $10. I'm going, okay, I'm getting it, because it was so red. But red isn't my color. It was my mother's color. It's not my color.
Isn't that funny?
Maybe even if you're male, you might just wear a red heart.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
or even
Yeah.
just a red ribbon.
So there's a total shutdown on March 15th. Where's
Yeah.
this other one? On March 15th, everything stops. No work, no shopping, no travel, no compliance for as long as possible. There were some others that were February 28th 's another one. I can't remember, but I don't see it here real quick.
I see it here on your comments. There's also an interesting comment from Kate about the friend who had the stroke, and she's hearing music in her right ear constantly.
A close
Yeah,
friend had a stroke a couple of weeks ago, and she's okay now. Hears music in her right ear constantly. Is that from spirit?
instinctively,
Yes.
I'm going to say yeah.
I'm
And,
gonna say
and
yeah.
if she is musical at all, based on what my experience has been, because they started, and she can tell you, they started doing that to me, and I would hear
Really?
this tune over and over and over in my head until I sat down with music paper and wrote it out, what the
Yep.
tune was. And when I had written it out, it would stop and I would get a break. And then it would some other tune. So I have a whole book full of tunes that were in my head that they just kept repeating until I wrote them down. And see if they start repeating some of that music, if she's musical, ask her to write it out. Maybe that'll help. I don't know, but that's what I ended up having to
You can
do.
hum it, but I think it is a message. It is telling you to connect. After a spiritual awakening, I had ringing in my ear, and it was so extraordinary that I called my neighbors and I said, "Is there something wrong with the power center of the house? What's going on? I can hear it." And they're like, "What are you talking about, Dave?" I'm just like, "Oh my God." And then, of course, on YouTube, it shows up ringing in the ear, ringing in the ear, ringing in the ear, and I just watch them, and it is a spiritual awakening thing. And I did a few things, and it went away.
Huh.
I know when I was sent out to Denver, I was supposed to work on the ley lines, and it used to scare me a little bit because I have been through earthquakes and nobody else was feeling the ground going like this. I mean, they would stand right next to it. You feel that? Feel what? I could feel the ley lines moving around. And while I was working, and it was in some ways scary. I goes, okay, I'm on the 4th floor. It's the top floor. If the building goes down, I'll be on top.
I have ringing in my ears, and it's just a matter of a level of sound when I'm getting downloads. It changes, and very much so. Sometimes it gets really loud. Most of the time, I don't even notice it because it's been around so long. But so I assume that's tinnitus, but it definitely changes when I'm getting downloads.
And for me, if it's a heavy download, I'm asleep. I mean, they just put me out. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just all of a sudden I'm out while they're doing it.
Has the sun been doing anything recently? I haven't been keeping up. I've been busy and not showing. But
Not
this is because I've been having headaches off and on since Monday, and I feel so tired. And to
They,
me, that's usually when some solar activities
well,
going on.
is it solar or is it Mother Earth? Because if you've watched Stefan, you've been noticing that there was one area in the Aegean where there were lots of earthquakes, and they thought it was going to eventually get to either a super one or an eruption. But then it started doing it in a section of Italy where there's a giant volcano, and it hasn't erupted for 500 years.
Right.
So Mother Earth
is getting crazy.
And so your headache may be atmospherically, this stuff is going on.
Meditate a bit. Don't hesitate to go into nature. Nature will help resync you. And just basically, we're all watching, and there's just a lot of stress. It's just a lot of stress. Watching, it's like I compare this time to Mother Earth sort of reborning her Earth. Like Dolores Cannon says, there will be a new Earth. Giving birth, I'm sure it's not just a cakewalk. I am saying, I'm sure
Not pleasant, trust me.
I don't know. I am perfectly happy not to know.
Glad you don't know.
Painful. and you got to take care. Mhm.
And you may have to, you may find you need to ground yourself more.
A lot. Mhm.
I
So
think
that
that's really important right now. The more time you can spend outside,
The
even if
better.
you're just sitting in some
and
grass somewhere or a park bench, it doesn't matter. Just get outside.
yeah, and it's like, okay, it's so cold up here, but I laugh because White Dragon calls them my salt shoes. I have bricks that when I'm on the show, I have bare feet and I'm sitting on the salt bricks
Oh,
to
what a
help.
great idea.
Yeah, and so, and I've shown them several times, and they just look like bricks, but they're made out of salt.
How
And
great.
and so that's how I get grounded, simply because I'm so high up in the air anyway, and it's too cold to go out. But
Besides, you live up there.
yeah,
Mhm.
I live up.
You need to be grounded a lot.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I know. I need
These
to
are
be
perfect
grounded
for
more.
you. Yeah.
That is important,
Yeah,
right?
I do live up there. There's a lot of times when I'm walking, I'm not really on the floor.
Mhm.
I love it.
I'm like a foot above, you know.
Out there in the chat, does anybody have any questions for Dave? We've got just a few more minutes left. It's flown by. I
And
wish we had hours to spend with you, young man. It's just been delightful.
yes, we could
Uh,
talk for hours. And the only
and
thing I wanted to say is somebody had asked, "Is it my birthday?" Because they didn't know for why everybody was saying happy birthday to me. And yes,
yeah.
I did manage to make it another year. So
And any show that calls me young man, I'm happy to attend.
Well, good. Will you come back and visit with us again?
compared to me, you are a young man.
We don't really ask very many men on here. It's you kind of have to be extraordinary to be invited over here as a male because this is the
And
Crone
you are.
Zone.
You are.
But I knew the minute I met you that you were meant to be.
Glad I'm on.
Yep.
Oh, I really appreciated your reading was just phenomenal and just exactly what I needed to hear that day. So that was fantastic. So like I said, I highly recommend him. He's very reasonable. Maureen, we're not actually doing readings today. I apologize.
We're just so thrilled to have you here.
Great.
I mean,
Exactly.
I was willing to give up my birthday dinner just to have you here. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming.
Tuning
I
out
love-
distractions, listen to music, go dance. That what's that little girl's name that's so popular now? Shake It Off. Taylor Swift's Shake It Off is the best thing I know for shaking off negative energy.
Great. Good idea.
You just go listen to that and jump around in a circle. I even added it to my yoga routine when I was in Key West doing yoga with a friend. Some days we just did Shake It Off just to let that shit go, right?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
days you just need to. So
Yeah.
you guys, thank you so much. He's $160. If you can't get any, that is so reasonable for the time that he spends with you. And I hope you don't mind me saying that.
No, I don't mind that. I'm happy to see you. Yeah.
I was flabbergasted when I saw the price. I was like, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And don't hesitate to sign up for Learning to Channel. You can sort of cut out the middleman and learn to channel yourself. So it's the same price for the purpose that I really want to teach people how to do this. So I know I'm creating my own obsolescence, but I really believe that everybody can learn to channel. It's just a question of desire and a little bit of work, and that it's a really healthful thing to do these days, and that it puts you in control. And that's a great place to be. We all want to have a little bit of extra help these days. A little dose of spirit from time to time will really help to guide you with just practical decisions every day.
It really does. I don't know how I would live my life without spirit guiding me. I really don't. It's some days it's not particularly
You couldn't. So
yeah.
And I was going to say, there was somebody was saying, how do we balance staying engaged, but protecting your energy, right? And I was saying, okay, you're engaged as an observer.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's a great point.
Observe, don't absorb.
Mhm.
And use your discrimination.
And let me tell you, I've seen two bald eagles in the last 3 or 4 days. One of them literally flew right in front of my car. And I'm like, and I mean, I swear to God, it looked at me.
Uh-huh.
Looked at me.
Wow.
It was just so incredible. And then yesterday I saw another one, but not as close or anything like that, but it actually could have been the same one because it was the same area. But to me, that is all about observing, seeing
Yeah.
things from a higher perspective.
Mhm.
Those of you that are channels, psychic mediums, we were told years ago this was going to happen. We've known this for a long, long time.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's uncomfortable, but we're all going to get through it because we have each other. We have each
Great.
other
Great. Wonderful. That's
All
great.
over the world.
all over the world. Like Dave talking to us from Australia today.
Exactly.
It's fantastic. So anyway, any last words, Dave?
Just keep going, ladies. You guys are just doing great. You really are doing the work. This is the work. And for all of you out there who are doing this, don't worry if you're well known or not well known. That's not relevant.
It's
Do
not.
the work that you're supposed to do in this lifetime. Be kind to that random person. It will come back to you. Be discerning also. Don't forget to bring spirit in to help you as you expand and help others.
And remember, they can't come if you don't ask.
That's
You
true.
ask.
Can't help. And
Remember
also remember that you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
Good. That's really
Yeah.
true.
It's very true. All right, guys. Thank you again, Dave, for being here.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you out there in the chat. We love all of your information and the back and forth. We really enjoy that. And thank you to all of Dave's friends that joined us tonight. Lovely meeting all of you, and thank you for being here. And we will be back on Saturday with Valerie from Illumination Portal. She's going to talk about the new moon and whatever else is going on in the sky that affects us. And so join us 8 p.m. Eastern as usual. And until then, good night all. And thanks again, Dave.
Thanks.